Welcome back to Real Lounge Entertainment. As always, I'm Mike, and here we are, continuing the spooky season off. Now, yesterday I gave you a list of some of the greatest horror remakes in my opinion, and today we're going to do the opposite. Some of the worst horror movie remakes in my opinion. Now, we're going to follow the same rules as yesterday, where I had to have seen the original one and the remake to be able to put on this list. And this is not going to be in any particular order, so it's not really a ranking video. So before we get started, if you give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let us know in the comments what are some of the worst remakes of horror movies in your opinion. Now, getting us started, we're going to start with one that I saw when it first came out on VHS from Blockbuster, and that is the 1998 remake of Psycho. Now, this movie had Gus Van Sant as the director, and if you don't know anything about him, he's actually a really good visual director and a really big name at the time. Had a pretty decent budget, and the odd choice of Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. Now, this is before Vince Vaughn really became like the comedy legend that we kind of know him from, and but even looking back, it's just kind of a weird choice. He pulled it off okay, but the main problem with this movie is you're coming off of the original movie that is a classic. So many iconic scenes and choices were made in that movie, and they almost don't get any bigger than Psycho. So when you remake that movie, you have to do something special with it. And what they chose to do was go a scene by scene remake of the original one. So there's no point in watching it. It is like if you compare them next to each other, it's literally scene by scene for the whole entire movie, making this movie just utterly pointless to watch. Another problem you had with this movie was Anne Hesh is no Janet Leigh. Doesn't even come close. Isn't charismatic, isn't likable like her, and it's a hard watch. I haven't watched it since back then, and I don't really plan to ever really watch this movie again unless I have to for the channel. But I don't want to complain too much. I know everyone works really hard on movies, and the point of this video isn't to like say, "Oh, you guys are terrible at this or terrible at that." I'm trying not to do that. But this movie really is just a waste of everybody's time in my opinion. The second one we're going to give to you is the 2015 Poltergeist. Now, the original Poltergeist from the 80s is once again a classic movie. One of the greatest like ghost or possession type of movies ever to get made. There's so many iconic moments and lines in that, and it was acted beautifully by everybody in the original cast. So, what did you do in 2015? First, you hired a great actor, Sam Rockwell. I am a huge fan of Sam Rockwell. I think he's one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. Everything he does, you can just tell. He just fully embraces and does his best job. Unfortunately, he was in this movie. This movie has no heart. It's not special. It's like a studio just painted by the numbers, took away any special moments, and just tried to make such a generic, unlikable movie that can get made. Nothing stands out about this movie. I saw it in theaters, walked out, and I was pretty mad. And since then, I haven't rewatched it, but I cannot tell you one thing that happened in this movie because it just nothing was done great. This movie is so forgettable, even almost worse than Psycho, because at least Psycho knowingly tried to do something that was the same. This movie just doesn't stick out. It's not special. It wasn't scary. So for me, it's a complete pass. I'll still give Sam Rockwell a pass because man, he was great. He's great in everything. Maybe not that movie, but I'm not gonna blame you for that one. So coming in, the next one on our list is House on Haunted Hill. This one's from 1999. Now, the original one is one of the most classic black and white haunted house movies you'll see. So it's aged, definitely, but if you can watch a movie from an older time and watch it as if you were watching it back then, you still get a good kick out of this movie. They did some very scary, clever things in this movie where, like, they turned around and they were like, this, and then they weren't moving, and then they, instead of having them walk off screen, they, like, pulled them so it looked like very eerie and odd and off-putting, and that's why the first one works so well. So that one is a classic, and to me, even though I said lots of people might not be able to watch it now, to me it's aged pretty well. Now, this one is one of those 1990 just kind of like garbage movies, it's really cheesy and not in a fun way. Really bad CGI instead of actual special effects, like that made the first one so good, and just nothing stuck out about this movie. The characters are in it aren't fun, aren't smart, aren't clever. It's just this movie just fails. It's boring. It doesn't look nice, and it's kind of disappointing because they had a really good cast. If you go down the list, Jeffrey Rush and everything like that, even like the side characters, they're all pretty solid names or have had success in Hollywood. So very disappointing. Once again, it's one of those that I haven't rewatched since I watched it in like 2000 when it was probably on like HBO or something. But I really have no plan on rewatching it ever because there's no need to. So going with that one, let's get to my controversial one. I briefly mentioned it in my greatest remakes. And my problem with this one, why I'm going to say it on my list, because I know it's going to make a lot of people mad, but just hear me out. Let me explain to you why I know it's one of the greatest remakes of all time. It's just not for me, so I'm going to put it on my list. All right? So, and that is The Fly. Now, I grew up watching the Vincent Price one with my brother and my best friend Nick at the time, and just such good memories of watching that movie and the help me scene at the end with the rock and stuff and him crushing himself in like the lab and stuff like that. Just that old school 50s, 60s monster movie. So much fun. We rented it multiple times from Blockbuster. And then this one came out in the 80s and I watched it I think twice now in my lifetime and it's just way too gory. I hate body horror movies where like you're deteriorating and this and that. And this movie is done so well. This movie actually is a masterpiece. It's just not a masterpiece for me. So I'm giving it all the praise. It's like a 5 out of 5 when it comes to horror movies. But for me, I love the original ones so much and I cannot watch these type of movies that often. So I'm just gonna put it on my list. I know it's a cheap out. I'm not actually putting it on the worst remakes. I'm just putting it on here because it's not my cup of tea. And for those of you who love it, which you guys should, this is a masterpiece by David Cronenberg. Deserves all the praise it gets. It's just not made for me. So I'm just putting this on my list. Maybe I'll get some comments about it, but it's all in good fun because I have high respect. It's a 5 out of 5 movie, but for me, I can't watch it. And I love Jeff Goldblum, so he's in it. I think Gina Davis was in the original one. Yeah, not really one of the worst ones. I'm just putting it on my list because I can't even watch it. So okay. So coming in the last spot is one of the most disappointing remakes to me since I've been going to theaters and stuff like that, and that is Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. Now, when we heard about this, no one is going to ever be able to replace Robert Englund. He is Freddy Krueger. But as a horror fan, we want more Freddy. We want more Nightmare on Elm Street. So knowing that he's retired from the character, let's put him aside. He's not going to do it again. So we have to hire somebody else. And in my opinion, the person they hired was absolutely perfect for the film, and that was Jackie Earle Haley. Amazing actor. I mean, just look at anything he's been in, and he's like gonna knock his role out of the park, especially in Watchmen when he was Rorschach. Amazing actor. So right away, I was like hyped. I was like, okay, here we go. This is gonna be awesome. And then I went and saw the movie in theaters with my wife. I think she was just my girlfriend at the time, but wife now. And it is the only movie I have fallen asleep to in theaters. Yes, out of all the movies you can fall asleep to, a movie about a serial killer killing you in your dreams is the movie I chose to fall asleep to. So take that out of just remove that. I have since rewatched it, so I could get the whole experience. This movie is boring. Cookie cutter, just a studio trying to, A to B to C to D, nothing special. They went more horror, kind of took most of the comedy out, which, okay, I can see that working. Jackie Earle Haley did the best job he could do, and I think he would have worked. If he had a better script to deal with, I think we would have got sequels with him, and I thought he would have been a great Freddy. But then you look at his face, and what they chose to do with the CGI and make it look more realistic, like a real burn victim instead of what we have for Freddy, was just the wrong choice. It doesn't have to be exactly like the original Freddy, but this look just doesn't work at all. And if you can't believe that, then the whole movie goes down the drain. That's not the whole reason the movie went down the drain, but the look is awful. Jackie Earle Haley's performance was good enough, and I think he would have eventually become great. Not Robert Englund great, because there's only one Robert, but the look was very disappointing. Other than that, like I said, the movie's boring. Nothing special with the kills. Yes, it looks high production and everything like that. You can tell it has a budget compared to some of these other movies, but it just doesn't stand out at all. I have had no desire to go back and rewatch this movie, and I miss Freddy. I want a new Freddy movie. I don't know why they're dragging their feet. I don't know if anyone is going to be able to step into those shoes as close to as good as Robert or even Jackie at this point. And here's the other thing they really did. So in the original series, they just made him a child killer, and the other stuff was left, if he did other stuff, it was left unsaid, you know. So Freddy kind of becomes like a hero of the series. Yes, you're rooting for him to get defeated, but you're also like he's the hero of the movie. You're cheering for him, you're laughing with him. And in this movie, they said the quiet stuff out loud. And that right there makes you not be able to cheer for Freddy. That's a big problem in a series like this. You need to be able to cheer for him when he comes on screen. You need to be able to laugh with him. Instead, you're just disgusted and you can't follow him and enjoy it. And it just kind of leaves a dirty taste in your mouth. And it just made it very unlikable for me. All right, so those are the main ones I want to talk about. Here's just a couple ones I wrote down on a list that honorable mentions. I either haven't seen one of them or just didn't have too much to talk about it with, and that is The Fog. I've seen the original one. I haven't seen the remake, but everyone usually puts it on their list, so honorable mention there. Wicker Man. I've never seen either of them. Now I know the remake is definitely bad because I've seen the scenes with Nicolas Cage and the bees and all that, so I guarantee it's bad. But since I haven't seen it, I wouldn't have had anything to talk about. Amityville Horror. I'm not really even a fan of the original one, but I did see the remake with Ryan Reynolds, and it wasn't good either. But since the original one wasn't that amazing, there's just nothing there to talk about. I can't even compare them because I don't remember too much about them. So just a couple honorable mentions there for you. Um, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching some of the worst horror remakes. If you didn't check out our video yesterday on some of the best horror remakes, check it out. And stick around for more spooky season, Halloween fun, when we cover Halloween type movies and scary movies and maybe just some general talk about Halloween stuff. So make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what are some of your worst horror remakes. Thanks for watching.